The colony on Tet-9 was noisy with machinery, human and alien voices blending in the open plazas. The settlement was a fragile bridge between species, humans new to this region of space, and the Aravi, whose crystalline cities gleamed beneath Tethys' orange sun. Aaron Cole, a human engineer, often found himself alone in the bustle. He had been sent to Tet-9 not as a soldier or diplomat, but as a fixer of broken machines. His days were filled with clattering tools and stubborn reactors, and though he respected the Aravi, their ways felt untouchable. That was until he first saw her. She wasn't like the graceful Aravi diplomats or the shimmering warriors he'd seen patrolling. She was small by her people's standards, her pale lavender skin glowing faintly in the afternoon light. Her eyes, however, were unfocused. She moved through the crowded street with hesitant steps, hands brushing walls and stalls, bumping into corners that she could not see. The crowd parted impatiently around her, murmuring, some pitying, some annoyed. Aaron's gaze followed her until she stumbled directly into a metal post. The hollow clang rang out, and she winced, clutching her forehead. Nobody helped. Nobody even slowed. "Hey!" Aaron pushed forward, steadying her before she hit the ground. She flinched at his touch but then tilted her head curiously toward his voice. Her eyes, glassy and pale, gave away the truth: she was blind. I'm sorry," she whispered in heavily accented standard. "I did not mean to cause trouble." "No trouble," Aaron said gently. "You okay?" She nodded quickly, embarrassed, pulling away. But her steps were clumsy, and she almost collided with another passerby. Aaron sighed. He had come here to fix machines, not people. And yet, as he watched her disappear down the street, rubbing the bump on her forehead, something inside him tightened. Days passed. Aaron buried himself in work, repairing atmospheric scrubbers, recalibrating fusion cores, and translating human schematics into Aravi glyphs. But the memory of the blind girl lingered. He began asking around discreetly. Her name was Silari. She was born different. Among the Aravi, blindness was rare, and their society, built on visual beauty and crystalline light, had little place for those who could not see. They gave her food, shelter, and sympathy, but no purpose. That haunted Aaron. Humans had struggled with disability too, but they had found ways. Prosthetics, implants, tools. To leave someone like Silari to stumble endlessly seemed wrong. One evening, Aaron was sketching a design in his workshop when the door creaked. "Is this the place of the human engineer?" Her voice was soft, uncertain. Silari stood hesitantly in the doorway, her hands brushing the frame. "Yes," Aaron said, surprised. "Silari, right?" Her head tilted, startled. "You know my name." "I asked around," he admitted. "What brings you here?" She hesitated. "They say you fix broken things." Aaron swallowed, glancing at her unseeing eyes. "I try." She stepped inside, her hands trailing over his workbench, brushing wires and spare parts. "Can you fix me?" The question struck him silent. He wanted to answer yes, but engineering flesh and nerve was beyond him. Yet maybe he couldn't fix her, but he could help her live differently. "Maybe not fix," he said slowly. "But what if I could build something to help you?" She blinked. "Help me." Aaron showed her a sketchpad. "You can't see light, but you can hear, feel, sense vibrations. What if I built you a device, a kind of exovisor that translates space around you into sound, like a map in your ears?" Silari tilted her head, intrigued. "A song of walls and doors." "Yes," Aaron said, encouraged. "You wouldn't walk into things anymore." She touched his arm suddenly, her grip tight. "Human, if you can do this, I will follow you anywhere. Aaron laughed awkwardly. Let's start with building it first. Weeks passed as they worked together. Aaron scavenged human parts, rewired Aravi crystal tech, and designed a headpiece that resembled a thin circlet of alloy. When worn, it emitted subtle pulses that bounced off surfaces, feeding a translation into Silari's ears as tones. The closer the object, the sharper the note. Testing was difficult. Silari's patience was endless, even when the early prototypes shrieked painfully or fed her nonsense echoes. Aaron admired her persistence. She wanted not charity but freedom. And slowly it worked. One afternoon, Aaron fastened the nearly finished device around her temples. Okay, try now. Just walk forward. Silari hesitated, then stepped. A soft hum rose in her ears, guiding her away from the workbench. Another tone warned her of the wall. She adjusted, smiling faintly. For the first time, she crossed the room without stumbling. Her pale eyes glistened. I walked. Aaron grinned. You did more than that. You navigated. She turned toward him suddenly and, before he could react, wrapped her arms around him. Her voice was thick. You gave me back a world I never thought I could touch. Aaron froze, then returned the hug awkwardly, his chest tight. As word spread, others took notice. The Aravi elders frowned, some suspicious of human meddling, others fearful of change. But Silari's joy was undeniable. She walked through the streets with growing confidence, following the invisible music of her new world. And she always returned to Aaron's workshop, laughing, learning, teasing him about his messy hair or clumsy hands. Somewhere along the way, their partnership became friendship, and perhaps more, though neither dared voice it. Until the day danger struck. Climax. Tis-9 was not safe. Raiders from the outer systems, pirates with no allegiance, descended on the colony, seeking loot and slaves. The alarms screamed as plasma fire lit the sky. Aaron was in his workshop when Silari burst in, panic in her voice. Human! The city burns. Explosions rattled the ground. Aaron grabbed his toolkit instinctively. His weapons were wires and wrenches, but he couldn't sit idle. We need to get you to safety. But Silari shook her head fiercely. No. Can help. I hear things others cannot. Shadows. Let me guide you. It was madness, but she was right. Her device gave her a strange advantage in the chaos. Together they slipped through alleys, dodging raiders. Several times, Silari yanked Aaron aside just before plasma bolts struck. At the colony's power hub, they found the raiders planting charges. Without the hub, the city would die. Aaron dove into the circuits, frantically rerouting energy to lock out the bombs. All the while, Silari warned him of approaching footsteps, her ears sharper than any sensor. When a raider cornered them, Aaron froze, unarmed. But Silari, guided by the humming map in her ears, grabbed a loose pipe and struck, knocking the attacker out cold. Breathless, Aaron stared. You just saved my life. She grinned, fierce and proud. You saved mine long ago. Together they stabilized the hub, bought the colony time, and when reinforcements arrived, the raiders fled. Ending. When the fires finally died down, the colony gathered to honor its defenders. The elders, once doubtful, now looked at Silari with new eyes, not as a burden but as a hero. But to her, the only gaze that mattered was Aaron's. That night, under the fractured glow of Tethys' twin moons, she found him repairing a scorched panel. Quietly, she removed the circlet and pressed it into his hands.